So let's play with sessions and make sure that they work the way that we want them to. And I'm going to come up with a completely arbitrary and artificial test to make sure that things work. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm looking in the handlers folder. Right now I have two handlers. I have one for the home page and I have one for the about page. So what I'm going to do is this. I am going to grab the remote IP address of the person visiting my site and store it in the home page. And I'm going to do that on the home, store it in the session. I'm going to do that in the home handler. And that's really quite easy to do. So first of all, I need the remote IP address. Well, that's easy. I can pull that right out of the request. So I'll call a variable remote IP is assigned the value of r.remote address. Okay. So that's built right into the standard library. It's part of the HTTP package, and I can just pull the remote address. So that'll be an IP version 4 or an IP version 6 address, and that's returned as a string. So I have a string here right now. Now I want to put that in the session, and I know I have access to the session from the site-wide config, and I can get to the site-wide config from this m variable that's part of the receiver. M app session.put, and put, as you can see, takes 3 arguments. The context, a key to look up the value if I want to get it out of the session, and the actual value that I'm storing in that sessional variable. So I'll put r.context. The name will be remote IP, and this can be whatever I want it to be, but that name makes sense. And the value is remote IP, which I've just stored. Okay, so if you think about this, all I'm doing is the first time somebody hits that homepage, or actually every time somebody hits that homepage, for that user session, I'm storing the remote IP as a string in the session, with the key to look it up being remote IP. All right, well, that doesn't seem terribly helpful. What am I going to do with this? Well, in the other handler, I'm going to pull that value out of the session. So I will say remote IP is assigned m.app.session.get, and I'm going to use get string so I don't have to typecast it. Get the string from the context, r.context, and the key to look it up is remote IP. And the thing to remember here is that this value will be an empty string if there is nothing in the session named remote IP. So now that I have that, I need to put it in my string map. String map, map, and I'll call it remote IP is given the value of remote IP. And now I'm going to go to my about page template. So let's find that about page, and we'll put a little bit logic in here. In a new paragraph, I'm going to put an if statement in here. So this is an if statement as part of the template package, so it doesn't follow the standard Go syntax, but it's really simple. If not equal to, I'm going to make sure that things are not equal. So if not equal to, and then look up the first value, index.stringmap remote IP, and it has to match case. If that's not equal to nothing, in other words, if there's a value stored in that string that's not an empty string, I want to do something. Else, I want to do something else. End. All right, so if my value stored in the string map is not equal to an empty string, then I want to say your remote IP address is, and then I'll just look up that value again. So I'll just copy and paste this. Copy and paste. Otherwise, oh, I got it in the wrong spot. Paste. Otherwise, I don't know your IP address yet. Visit the ahref equals / home page so I can set it. All right, now this should all work. Let's give this a try. First of all, let me go back to my web browser and make sure I'm not on the home page. So I'll just close that tab. I'll open a new tab and then close this one and close this one and close this one. All right, so I'm starting from a known place. Go run command web or star.go. It compiles, good. And now I'm going to go to localhost, but I want to go to the about page because I don't want to set that sessional variable yet. I hit it and it does not connect. Wrong port number. 8080. This is the About page. I don't know your IP address yet. Visit the home page so I can set it. So I'll go to the home page. And now that I visited that home page, when I go back, I should get a different message because it should be able to pull a non-empty string out of this session that has my remote IP address. And there it is, 127.0.0.1 and then a port number after it. So that is exactly what I wanted to do. And that's how sessions work. So we have, just so you know, let me go back to the, not the roots, the handlers. We have a bunch of ways of getting things out of a session or putting things, or one way to put it in, but a bunch of ways of getting it out. So up here, when I said app.session.getString, let's look at some of the other things that are built into the session package. m.app.session. I can get direct access to the cookie. I can find the lifetime of the session. I can look for the codec, which you're never going to do, but it's there if you want it. I can get a string. I can get anything I want out of the session. So often I'll store something that's not a string. It's not an int or one of the default primitive types. I can put whatever I want in the session. To do that, I have to make one extra step, but we're not going to do that for a little while. But just so you know, the sessions package is pretty simple to use. And I like Alex Edwards' SES session. It works extremely well. If you want to experiment with another one, well, it's not that difficult. You already know how to install a package. Give it a try if you're so interested. Anyway, that's it for sessions for right now. We'll be coming back to the usage of sessions on a regular basis as our application takes shape, but I think we've covered the basics for now.